At just 22 years old, Caitlin Clark has gone from being a college basketball sensation to one of the most influential young athletes in the world, and the speed at which she has transformed from prospect to phenomenon is nothing short of breathtaking. From the moment she stepped onto the court at Iowa, hitting logo threes with ice in her veins and turning ordinary games into must-see television, it was obvious that Clark was not just another college standout. She was something rarer, a generational talent with the ability to tilt the entire landscape of women's basketball. Fans didn't just watch her games, they rearranged their schedules to see her play, filling arenas and flooding social media with highlights of her dazzling shot-making and fearless style. Every pull-up jumper from 30 feet, every behind-the-back pass to a cutting teammate, every moment of sheer swagger created not just points on a scoreboard, but ripples across the entire sports culture. She had the look of someone destined not only to dominate her era, but to redefine what the future of women's basketball could be. From Iowa star to WNBA headliner, that gravitational pull only intensified as Clark's college career came to an end, and the WNBA beckoned. Drafted by the Indiana Fever, she brought with her more than a resume of record-breaking performances. She carried an army of loyal fans and a cultural momentum rarely seen for any rookie, let alone in the women's game. Suddenly, the Fever, once overlooked in the hierarchy of professional sports, found themselves playing to sold-out crowds across the country. Opposing teams moved their games to larger arenas to accommodate demand. Ticket prices soared. Merchandise flew off shelves. Television ratings shattered long-standing ceilings. And the most telling part of it all was that these weren't one-off spikes. Caitlin Clark was, and continues to be, the reason for a sustained surge in attention that the league has craved for decades. She didn't just join the WNBA, she injected it with new life. And the league has been riding that wave ever since. The magnetism of fire and edge. Of course, what makes Caitlin Clark magnetic isn't just her ability to score, though her step-back threes and no-look passes are already the stuff of highlight reels. It's the fire she plays with, the edge she carries into every game, the unapologetic competitiveness that makes her impossible to ignore. She is a lightning rod in every sense, admired passionately by those who love her, criticized fiercely by those who don't. In today's sports culture, where social media amplifies every dribble, every foul, every smirk, that kind of magnetism is invaluable. Clark's games don't just end when the buzzer sounds. They live on in Twitter debates, TikTok edits, Instagram reels, and YouTube breakdowns that reach millions far beyond the WNBA's traditional audience. She isn't just a player. She's a brand, a story, a cultural force whose impact transcends the hardwood. Hype or reality? The numbers speak for themselves. Critics have inevitably tried to frame Clark's meteoric rise as manufactured hype, a product of media obsession rather than substance, but the numbers tell an entirely different story. She's already setting rookie records, notching performances that stand alongside the best the league has ever seen. Her jersey sales are through the roof, consistently ranking among the top in all of professional basketball, and attendance figures at Fever games have reached levels that would have been unthinkable just a few years ago. National broadcasts featuring Clark draw viewership numbers that franchises once only dreamed of, rivaling or even surpassing coverage of established men's sports. Each of these markers adds weight to the argument that Clark is not just living up to the hype, she's exceeding it, proving herself to be the rare athlete who can simultaneously dominate on the court and transform the business of the league she plays in. More than a star, a cultural catalyst. But beyond the stats, the highlight reels, and the sold-out arenas, Caitlin Clark represents something even bigger. She is a spark that has ignited new attention for a league that has spent decades fighting for mainstream respect. Women's basketball has always produced remarkable athletes, from Cheryl Swoops and Lisa Leslie to Diana Taurasi, Sue Bird, and Maya Moore. But the league has often struggled to capture sustained public interest on the scale it deserves. Clark, arriving at a moment when women's sports are gaining long-overdue recognition, has become a symbol of what is possible. She is the face that draws cameras, headlines, and conversations, pulling in fans who might never have tuned in otherwise and giving them a reason to stay. Whether you love her, root against her, or simply tune in to see what outrageous thing she'll do next, you cannot ignore her. And in the entertainment-driven world of modern sports, that alone is a revolution. The role of criticism and controversy. Of course, with fame comes scrutiny, and Clark has faced her fair share of criticism since entering the professional spotlight. Opponents target her physically, testing whether she can withstand the grind of the WNBA. Commentators dissect her every word, every look, every expression. Social media magnifies moments of struggle as much as moments of triumph. Yet what makes Clark compelling is how she embraces all of it, the praise and the doubt alike, as fuel. The criticism, rather than diminishing her, adds to her legend, reinforcing the idea that she is not just another athlete, but a figure who evokes strong emotions across the board. In many ways, the pushback against Clark is part of what makes her so consequential. She is not universally adored, and that's precisely why she matters. She is forcing conversations, shifting perspectives, and creating the kind of debates that expand interest in the sport. A new era for women's basketball. The broader impact of Caitlin Clark's rise can already be seen in the WNBA's growth trajectory. Attendance records are falling. Sponsorship deals are increasing. Young fans, especially girls, are showing up to games with Clark jerseys, posters, and handmade signs, eager to be part of the phenomenon. More importantly, the league itself is leaning into the spotlight, recognizing that Clark's popularity is not just a fluke, but an opportunity to showcase the incredible depth of talent across all teams. When fans tune in for Clark, they also see A'ja Wilson's dominance, Breanna Stewart's brilliance, or Sabrina Ionescu's shooting displays. The rising tide lifts all boats, and Clark is that tide. Her presence has sparked the kind of momentum that could finally push the WNBA into the mainstream consciousness in a way that lasts for generations. Beyond basketball, the global reach of a star, Caitlin Clark's influence doesn't stop at the arena doors. She has become a crossover star, her name trending everywhere from ESPN to TikTok to late-night talk shows. Brands want her endorsement, networks want her presence, and fans across demographics feel invested in her story. She is not simply an athlete. She is an ambassador for the sport, a representative of what women's basketball can be at its best. And while she has already accomplished so much, the fact that she's only 22 means her potential is nearly limitless. If she continues on this trajectory, Clark could redefine what it means to be a global superstar, breaking barriers not just for women in basketball, but for women in sports at large. A future still being written. The most exciting part of Caitlin Clark's story is that it is still being written. She has already achieved milestones that most athletes can only dream of, yet she has barely begun her professional journey. The legacy she is building feels bigger than basketball, bigger than the WNBA, and perhaps even bigger than sports themselves. She represents resilience, authenticity, and unapologetic competitiveness in an era where those traits resonate more than ever. Every shot she takes, every game she plays, and every conversation she sparks adds another line to a story that is reshaping the future of women's sports. And while her path will undoubtedly include challenges, setbacks, and criticism, one thing is certain: Caitlin Clark has already changed the game. Conclusion: the face of the future. Caitlin Clark isn't just playing basketball, she's rewriting the rules of what it means to be a superstar. She has turned arenas into must-watch destinations,